Kevin Cramer, who I assume you're talking about, or you could be speaking about Leader Thune, is different in that there are members who are actively benefiting from things like the Inflation Reduction Act, from the clean energy subsidies that came from a purely Democrat-only passed bill, who are extraordinarily opposed to the president's tariffs, but are unwilling to rein him in. And the senators from the Dakotas represent that faction. So they are out there, going to Canada, trying to pass legislation to almost provide something that the Republican Party can talk about that is not related to the tariffs and not related to the president's maybe more social items on his agenda. And that's really what they're representing right now. When you say Dakotas, that's who I think of.
How about just in tariffs in general, Henrietta? We have, once again, we're seeing this playbook play out time and time again, announce big tariffs, big headlines, and then walk them back as it relates to Europe here. So how do you think this whole tariff thing is going to play out? Because it has been the #1 item on the president's agenda since day one.
Since the 1980s. Yeah. My view is that Liberation 2.0 is coming. Liberation Day 2.0 is fast approaching. And it doesn't have to just be July 9th. Think about what is coming down the pipe. #1, we have sectoral tariffs across pharmaceuticals and semiconductors. The comment period is over. Those tariffs could hit at any moment. The pharmaceutical sector and the European Union are heavily concerned about those tariffs hitting in the next 2 to 3 weeks, if not before. Those would come in if history is precedent at 25% rates. That's what the president has tariffed aluminum, steel, automobiles, and everything else on with the national security tariffs. So those are pending, and there are a litany of those that will come for the remainder of the summer and into the rest of this year across lumber, copper, trucking, air jets, cargo, etc. Then we have July 9th. And what's happening already is that even nations that we are close to or should have trade deals with, as suggested by Secretaries Bessent and Lutnick, are nowhere near completion. Indeed, South Korea, the one that I anticipated, or I understood Lutnick and Bessent were talking about weeks ago when they started saying trade deals could be announced, just a week after Liberation Day, are nowhere near completed. They have an election on June 3rd, and they're saying they need a delay beyond July 9th. The same is true for Japan, who doesn't even have a date for their election yet. So when I think about what's coming down the pike for investors, it's more tariffs, both sectoral and a hike specifically with the EU above their current 10% rate. I think the president's itching to get to 20, at least, if not higher, as evidenced by his 48 hours of considering 50%.
How does all this tariff talk, how is it playing out politically? Is there any feedback, any polling? Do people care? Are they concerned that inflation is going to hit?
Let me stop and say this is the question of the morning. That's the key question.
How do people feel about this?
I'm so glad you asked. We cover all kinds of macroeconomic policy items, and we can talk about wonky stuff like current policy baseline or carried interest tax rates. The American public understands tariffs. What's shocking to me is to go and, go to my local grocery store, see the front page news, and the side advert is for buy your appliances now before the tariffs hit. Buy them now before President Trump implements Liberation Day tariffs. I mean, those are front page news items in states like Louisiana. The American public knows what tariffs are. They know for sure that they are not tax cuts, and they know that they're coming.